what can be done? I would love to have a clear idea. And I did, in my research last night, I heard you, Julian, offer, not obviously what would be a perfect solution, but it was great to hear someone saying, this is what we could do. Would you just tell our audience that?
Yeah. Okay, first of all, you've got to look at the numbers. The biggest number of arrivals in any 12-month period in the last couple of decades is 25,000 in the 12 months to 30 June this year. That's the same number as we got in the late 70s, so it's not really a very big number. We spend $3 billion a year mistreating them, most of that going to international jail companies and so on to keep them in Nauru, Manus Island, whatever. I think there's an alternative way, and that is, sure, detain them initially when they arrive in the country. If people arrive without papers, without an invitation, holding them initially is a rational thing to do. Cap it at 1 month. And during that month, do preliminary health and security checks, because that's significant. And then release them into the community, but on conditions, whilst their refugee status is being decided. The conditions would include entitled to Centrelink, entitled to Medicare, entitled to work, but also required to stay in touch with the department so they don't simply disappear, and that they reside in a specific country location. Lots and lots of towns right across the country are dying for want of population. There's empty houses right across the country. There are unfilled jobs right across country Australia. I know there are plenty of country towns who would welcome the additional population. And if they are treated decently, it's likely that they'll want to stay on in the country town that they've been asked to live in pending their refugee status determination. 90% of them will end up being found to be refugees after all, so eventually they'll be released into the community with the right to live here, because that's our promise under the Refugees Convention. There are a couple of benefits of doing this. First of all, country towns would like it. Second of all, it's much, much less expensive than what we're doing at the moment. Instead of spending $300,000 or $400,000 per person per year to lock them up, we would spend, even if all of them, every single one of them, stayed on Centrelink benefits, even if that happened, and that's very unlikely. If they did, and you add on 50% for administration costs, it would cost $30,000 per person per year. That's 10% of what we're paying now. So that will liberate a couple of $1 billion each year. So what about spending $1 billion that we've saved building housing for homeless Australians? What about spending another $1 billion that we've saved each year on national infrastructure projects? And maybe you could even work out something sort of like a national service scheme so that refugees could volunteer to work on these major national infrastructure projects, putting something into the country that has had the decency to treat them like human beings and protect them from their persecutors. I think, sure, it needs a bit of refinement, but it's an approach that would work. It's an approach that would save billions of dollars, and it's an approach which is like Australia used to be. We could actually regain our national soul if we approached it like that.